And for the record, so here's an interesting idea, because as you move to the next tab, you're seeing criticism of this board from the founder of Twitter, Jack Dorsey, he's been pretty quiet, and he's still I don't know, I can't remember how much of Twitter, he's like 2.5% or something.
Yeah.
Is he also still an advisor?
He's on the board right now.
Yeah. So he's still involved to an extent.
Then he's out.
Okay. Whatever. He's got other interests going on right now. But he was asked on Twitter, by the way, is that what his kitchen looks like? Or is he at a restaurant? He's really on the minimal thing, I think, right now.
The clock's pretty good.
It's good. Military, but look at the number of glass bottles.
Could be an Airbnb.
I think isn't he in Costa Rica a lot?
He's down there a lot, but I don't know his recent style and stuff. I feel like this could be his way of life. Anyway, so the important part here is he gets asked on Twitter about this board. And here's the exact question. Serious question for Jack. If you think the Twitter board is/was so dysfunctional and kept the company from being great, as you imply, either through your own tweets or replies to others, why didn't you do anything about it when you ran the company for several years? That's from Scott Wapner. I think he must be a reporter for CNBC. Jack then responds, so much to say ... but nothing that can be said. So I guess he's got one of those non-disclosure things going on, which wouldn't surprise me. A follow-up from Jason Kint says, responses show confusion over hope versus truth versus trust, and selling versus informing. I know you get this, including the problems underneath. He says, I really wish I could break through all the abstraction here and answer you, but alas and woe. So he's basically saying, I'm tied up. I can't provide the insight that I would love to provide, and I can't speak plainly about the dysfunction of this board and how he may have felt along the way how they might be holding the company back. This is good for Elon because it makes him look more reasonable that he was kind of unwilling to work with them and went the route that he went. Because here you have Jack, who's also in the tech realm and social media, internet culture. He's also done significant things as far as profile goes. He's moved on to crypto and such, but here's a guy who founded the company, so you would believe that it would be hard for an individual like this to kind of walk away from it unless they felt that their hands were tied to a certain extent. I mean, I know he's super into crypto, but to kind of detach yourself completely from what was once your baby could be indicative of trouble, pre-existing trouble or frustration with how things were going and an inability to affect change because of this board.
Well, he's talking. He's saying as much as he can, but he's talking.
Right. And so now here's my wild card.
Wow.
I apologize. I haven't seen these super chats. Shout out to Gustavo. And I don't know if there's any others up there, but everybody's very excited that you're back, Vin. So give Gustavo a shout out as well. Go ahead, Vin. Yeah.
No, yeah.
Vin's,
well,
Vin's as excited as you are, Gustavo.
You were...
I don't know if you can tell.
Yeah. Well, you were... What's your take? You were going to say something.
Oh, yes. I was going to say my wild card.
Cahoots?
Forget him.
Forget who?
Forget him. Act like... And, okay, this is a controversial position. And I sure as hell don't want to sign up to another app. But if anybody could
No,
figure out how to
no.
do a better Twitter,
No.
Elon plus Jack, it ain't no Trump. That is
No.
some next level
The
connections.
problem is
Oh man, I believe people will move from Twitter. No problem. It just has to be the right product and the right team. Like that's all it is.
everything is so embedded now.
It's not that embedded. It's not that embedded. They could come up with tools for like signing up in such a way where it like imports your followers or something. Like where if a person creates a new account, like could be some sort of API. I don't know if they would ever allow such a thing to take place. But a lot of people have been talking, for example, about, and this is also very difficult to do, but a way to decentralize social. If you wanted true freedom, and I know I've been following some of the conversation threads on Jack's Twitter account because a lot of people have been coming at him, a way to use crypto to create a social media platform that has not your typical managerial structure in the first place.
With Web3? Web3?
I agree 100% with Elon. It has to be Twitter. He has to do it.
Well, then
he has to figure out a way
you're
to do it.
losing all your leverage.
And then
You're losing all your leverage.
like-
The only leverage you have is that you're the world's richest man. And if anybody can cause problems for the pre-existing social media, it should be him and Jack. And listen, whatever, the Web3 idea, it's just a fun idea that maybe there's a way to improve this thing because the rules being in any one man's
but still,
hands
you can
create
still
problems.
You can still accomplish that with Twitter after.
No, you can't. You can't. Because you ultimately you end up with an advertising model.
No,
Somebody's
but
paying the
Elon
bill.
said zero. The whole thing was zero advertising, dealing with bots, spam.
That's day to
I
day.
guess a core.
Once you get in the mix, you realize it's a lot more to it. Doxing and threats and
Whatever they would have to come up.
What about requests from law enforcement? It gets squirrely, man. It guaranteed gets squirrely beyond the point that a single managerial group can.
But what was it? Twitter 5 years ago. It was. I mean, they were still having to deal with that stuff. I mean, it evolved, but I don't.
It was just getting less attention because it was like, this comment that Twitter or social media is the new town hall or whatever keep this reference point as.
But even actually, if I go back to Jack, because then there was something else today, him going back and forth with CNN, and then he touched on ads and how the ad model for, at least in Twitter, was contributing to
it's inevitable.
Certain things.
It's inevitable. When you think of things that get censored or taken down or are sensitive in general in places like YouTube, all you have to do is reference the adpocalypse, which had a drastic impact on the creator economy. When the advertisers pull out and you're on a revenue share,
but if
this show right here, now granted, this show right here, we have the super chats coming in, which is a different revenue structure, and it alleviates some of the pressure from an advertiser perspective. But when they come in and they get nervous, and all of a sudden some ad links up with some really nasty piece of content.
I'm saying, but if Twitter was ad-free, totally ad-free, which really the only person that would even consider something like that would be Elon. But let's say, for example, it was totally ad-free.
Even Elon would run out of money running this thing ad-free unless he can substitute subscriptions, which is why he's already been talking about Twitter Blue. He's trying to say, how much will you pay for Twitter? And I already asked you this question. You said you wouldn't pay anything.
No, that wasn't my answer. My answer was, well, we don't need to get into that, but something totally different.
Well, it's a simple question.
No, but right now, would I pay for it? No.
That mic's really close to your mouth there, Vin.
Right now, would I pay for it? No, but full disclosure, I'm a free user. I'm dealing with a lot of...
For full disclosure, I'm a free man.
I have to go incognito and are you sure you don't want to sign off and everything? Anyways, but if there was a way to...
You're a lurker. You're describing a lurker.
Oh, fine. But if there was a way
You don't like
to...
the word. You don't like that word, that terminology? Willie do lurk. He lurks sometimes.
Observer.
It's lurker.
Wow. If there was a way for me to absorb it daily...
Wait 1 second, Vin. Luis Fernando, this is not pre-recorded. You understand? I just said your name. There's a conspiracy going on in the chat that this entire conversation is pre-recorded. This is live, all right?
Why would that be
That
the
should solve
case?
it. Go ahead, Vin.
No, just saying, if there was a way for me to absorb Twitter daily, quickly...
In your bathtub, I will absorb
preferably
you.
on a TV, then I could do away with a lot of other stuff.
So what you're looking for? Well,
I would move on from what I'm currently paying for.
So you're describing this show right here. You want somebody to read Twitter for you. What's going on Twitter is like every internet news show.
No, I'm not saying that. I'd like some other way of absorbing it. I need
through your skin
on a TV.
Inhaling it.
Well, anyways.
What happens on a TV, Vin? Put on the news. What happens?
It's
a person sitting there reading.
I'd rather turn on Twitter on my TV.
And then what does it look like? What's going on? Is it Tucker Carlson? Or
no, that part needs to be worked out.
Is it Don Lemon?
What if it was just some random person?
Go ahead.
Just reading the tweets. I guess the top tweets for the day or whatever. Although it would have to tie into...
But those personalities would also have to be interesting or entertaining.
No, zero opinion, just reading the tweets or something.
You wouldn't watch that.
I think I may.
You wouldn't.
I think I might.
You wouldn't. We'd have to go through your viewing history and see any evidence that that's a thing that you would watch. I bet you that you're watching some of the most entertaining news that's out there.
I don't watch a lot anymore.
Well, anyway... what I think you're describing is just more multimedia as opposed to just tweets. You want somebody can sort of put it into a package that's a little bit more digestible. I don't think you'd be alone. I mean, Twitter added video. They have their Clubhouse style spaces, which are meant to kind of do that as well. It's still primarily text based, which doesn't work very well on a TV. I mean, there's probably some sort of app that you could have that just scrolls whatever's trending.
Maybe. But
Google does it with trends. There's a trends visualizer if all you cared was to see whatever the topics people were talking about in a given day. But ultimately, you want to see more than one person talking about it like we're doing here. That's why, we can take the headline or we can take the story and be like, all right, let's look into it a little bit. But anyway, in this case, Jack is obviously frustrated. Elon's obviously frustrated, and I'm just putting the wild card out there that those are two names with a track record as founders and as managers that could do something interesting in this space if they wanted to, and they obviously have plenty of funding. It's not instantaneous. It would be very hard to do. Shout out Itoshi Oliver. It would not be easy to do, and it would not be overnight. And it could possibly create even a greater divide on the internet, which is not ideal, where you could have social media behave in a similar fashion to what's happening on broadcast television, where you have silos. And if you believe a certain thing, then you watch a particular channel. And if you believe another thing, you watch another channel. Now, imagine if social media follows the same trajectory, where you would have Elon and Jack's social media if you're on one side of the political spectrum, and if you're on another side of the political spectrum, then you would have some other social media.
That's what it would become.
And maybe that's inevitable regardless.
Maybe.